Hagar Easy Any Percent. Doing commentary is Nobleboy77. He's the current world record holder for the Hagar Easy Any Percent. He's going to join me on commentary.
Hey there, guys, and thank you for allowing me to be in the commentary, Rotor.
No problem.
Yes, Final Fight. Before we begin, yes, this is Final Fight 2. This direct sequel to Final Fight, which originally was an arcade game, but unlike that game, Final Fight 2 was made exclusively to the Super Nintendo. Story-wise, the Mad Gear Gang is back, which is now led by a Japanese Jabuki man named Ratu, Kimnan's guys, relatives, his fiancée Rina, and his father-in-law, and master as well. So his sister-in-law Maki contacts Hagar about the Mad Gear's return and send him to help. And they're not alone, and a guy named Kado Miyamoto assists him as well. So we have to travel around the world, beating up the Mad Gear and rescue guys' relatives. That's pretty much the plot of the game.
In other words, the Mad Gear pretty much infuriated a family of ninjas, plus the mayor of Metro City once again, in a nutshell.
That's pretty much it. So, we can start whenever you want, Rotor.
Okay, time's not going to officially start until we get full control of our character, and that's when the timer and life bar starts. So I'm going to go ahead and select Hagar. So in 3, 2...
Good luck.
I will need it.
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to start in Hong Kong because we meet up with Maki, and that's when we're going to start cleaning house.
So yeah, Hagar, the only character returning from Final Fight 1. If you're familiar with his playstyle, he pretty much plays exactly as it was in the last game. Except that his move, the pile driver, is upgraded to a spinning pile driver, and it deals the most damage of the throw moves. And yes, as you see, the ideal fast way to take down enemies is using the infinite, which they had to intentionally whip with one punch in Hagar's case, so you can reset your string of jabs. So now I have to mention the enemies here: Scott, Jack, Mick, Bilbul, and the other one are the most basic enemies in the game. The other one you saw, the faster moving ones, Elias and Elliot, they are very quick, but they are very fragile. And the blocking guys, Johnny and Atlas, they are the most obnoxious in the game, since they have a random tendency to block, and they can outrange you with their grabs, which you're gonna be worried about.
We're also using a technique called chain joys, where we replace the final hit of the chain with a EX joy.
Yes. In this case,
about at least 10 more damage or so.
Yes, Hagar's normal throw is the German suplex. Except that, unlike in Final Fight 1, which you can suplex that every people to get iframes, in this game, it doesn't. Also, a key component of running this game is that we have to despawn enemies on certain screens. And also, we have to leave intentionally certain drums and boxes in order to prevent some extra enemy spawn, which is you're gonna see in certain areas of the game.
I'm gonna pick up this barbecue just to be safe.
Yeah, thankfully on easy difficulty, that doesn't happen often.
Harder ones, it does.
Yeah. And now we are introduced to Leon and the other guy, we'll see later, Robert, the acrobat. That's the second most obnoxious enemy in the game, since they love to jump around, and they can attack immediately when they spawn sometimes. A fun fact, in the Japanese version,
Leon and Robert... I forgot to hit my timer.
Oh man. But anyway...
My door's locked up.
Yeah, in the Japanese version, Leon and Robert were originally two female enemies called Mary and Eliza. Just like in Final Fight 1, when it was localized, they were changed to male characters, which makes no sense because now we have a female hero with Maki as playable character. Also, the boss won that. You saw Roldan beat it out.
My timer don't work.
Oh well, we can continue. In the JP version, Womo has a universal weapon.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, now we are in France. And yes, the thing that Maki have is that her, believe it or not, her extra joy has the most damage among the 3 characters. Extra joys. It has the longest range, likely to make it up for her short range.
Yeah, but she has like the highest amount of chain attack damage overall and the EX joy.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, now we are in France. Which for the bulk of the game will take place in Europe. I'll say it right now.
Again, my apologies for the timer not working. I know I hit start when I did.
And also we reintroduced to the only enemy returning from the original Final Fight, and that is Andore. Which thankfully they're a little more tamer and not as aggressive as it was in the last game. But they get still troublesome sometimes though, as they can charge from afar whatever they want.
Alright, we got through that pretty quickly.
Yeah. This screen is just beating out thoughts and jumping all those and breaking the fences. Oh, there's something something that not many people know about this little graphic difference in this part. In the Japanese version, there's a peace symbol in some of the graffiti in the walls, and that was changed as well.
Blew that one there.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the only other differences that people didn't bring up when talking about the original differences about the game. It's just that I noticed a few weeks ago when I saw footage of the Japanese version. So I had to talk about now is the difference between difficulties is that on higher difficulties is basically you get more enemies spawn, and that the enemy defenses increases. Notably the Andores.
We're only gonna get one despawned right here.
Yeah.
You won't see it because we got that crane right there.
Exactly. Like I was saying, yes, on expert every enemy has a higher defense, except for the bosses. Well, most of them anyway, which they're hard-coded, their respective amount of HP. And doesn't help that on expert, nearly all of the tougher enemies are damage sponges. That's the only issue about expert.
Coming up.
Yeah, this part's another despawn coming up soon. You want to leave that crate.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna try that.
Yeah, you saw there, Robert, just jumping off screen. They can do that sometimes. That's why we had to jump kick to prevent that.
Yeah, well, nearly full health. The barbecue doesn't fully restore the HP here.
So here's Freddy. And yeah, as you know...
2.0.
Well, that's because in the localized version, his voice grunt is the same as the Andores, but he has a unique KO cry in the Japanese version, which is a male version of what Marion and Eliza's KO cry is. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, Freddy has about at least 400 HP, which is very ironic considering the next boss has like the second lowest HP.
Yeah, it is.
But then again, they turned that up for Bracken with high-powered moves, despite being simplistic in nature.
Yeah. Oh, and just like in Final Fight 1, every 2 rounds we get to a bonus stage. And like in the last game, we had to break the card. Which has become which Street Fighter 2, of course, made that bonus level pretty iconic. So now we are going to round 3, taking place in Holland. And this level has some unique hazards. Those landmines that you see there, they deal us a huge amount of damage, but you can take advantage of the enemies running into them as well. As you saw one with that Meek.
Yeah, there's a very high chance of getting your infinite disrupted.
Yeah, just don't get near the blast radius, basically. And I'm sorry, Weapon, there's no oh my car. No Mad Gear Gan is present, sadly, in this game.
Yeah, we're gonna trick this guy into blowing up that landmine. I am gonna try for this despawn. It does work sometimes. There we go.
Yes, we can make this. Elic.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Which I forgot to mention about that particular enemy. The Elics, they're pretty much the fat guys of this game. They can be a little. They're the second most obnoxious enemy because they can charge their antennas and they can increase their damage output, and they can have a nasty habit of charging at you.
All right, that was good.
At random.
All right, we got the 75% box. We got food item. That hardly gets a food item anyway. Alright, we whooped up all those guys. If the timer was on right now, it would be close to around 10:38 or something like that.
Yeah.
It might be around 10:16.
And as you see, another tactic is that for speedrunning this game is that you want to use a lot of extra joy, but of course you gotta manage your health as well. Because extra joy deal a lot of damage than your jabs.
The only downside about the specials is that it eats up like 9 health per use, so you can only use it 15 times, according to what MTI found out.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep that barrel in there because we don't want that Endori spawning up just yet.
So yeah, we keep some obstacles on screen so we can get more safer fights. Like in that one, we had to keep it some time in there before the third enemy spawned.
Alright, that was pretty good, 3-1. Normally that could get pretty chaotic real quick.
Yeah. So yeah, 3-3 is another despawn one right there.
Despawn, unfortunately. Okay, I got out too quickly and that Scott moved out of the way.
Yeah,
it's
a bit random.
Despawn anyway.
Yes, enemies in this game, they tend to wake up either quickly or slowly. It's a little random. Yeah, we also keeping that barrel, so an extra Elliot won't spawn. Just like that.
No aerial tricks for you.
Yeah.
In position with the pile driver. That's the only time you should probably use the pile driver to get yourself in position or extra damage. Normally I don't use a whole lot of grouping tactics.
Oh, so the elevator transition doesn't count, huh? Good to know, MTI. Good to know.
Shouts to MTI. He's finding out a lot of stuff in general with the Final Fight 2.
A lot of the game values, yeah. We still don't know how the rank works yet. I mean, yeah, it's true. Speed pile driver is always good. It's always satisfying to finish off your opponent with that technique.
I don't care if I die coming up.
Alright, now we have Bracken which is pretty much like what I like to call a muscular version of Frankenstein.
Well, I was out of health anyway. Need to reload. We're gonna be dying a whole lot just to make sure we get our health back up.
Yeah, Bradkin is pretty simple. If you manage to, on a certain range, he won't move, and you're gonna continuously attack him, so he won't retaliate. Just like that position right there. The only complicated part of the fight, obviously, the reinforcement that keeps spawning. So that's why it makes doing the infinite on Bradkin a little complicated. Right. So you would have prayed that everyone is in the same side. And that was round 3.
Yeah, Bradkin's probably got the worst matchup in all the difficulties because the enemies that come after in those difficulties get worse.
So England, yeah, there's a hidden one off as you saw there, by the way. So now we're gonna do one despawn. We're gonna despawn the Atlas, which is the easiest enemy to despawn, as long as they don't wake up, of course, which he got it.
Set up. No leaps. Also, shout out to Snowboy for that trick.
Thank you.
Alright.
So here comes another despawn row coming up.
If we can.
So take care of the Leon. Take care of that Leon, and then throw the Atlas off the screen. Just don't let it grab you, of course. There we go. Yeah, jumping forward and backwards makes you move faster. That's the optimal movement of the game. By the way, we're moving to screen, I should mention that, of course. So now we take care of the Andorre, and then we go on the train, at the top of the train while moving throughout the city.
Yeah, right now the health is pretty good. Normally it can be very chaotic in this part. You lose most of your health doing specials and whatnot. So we're in good position for now. It's a shame we only have like 141 to rely on overall.
Alright, so the top of the train, not much to say here. Just be careful of the more obnoxious enemies. Primarily the Helix in this case. And sometimes we worry about... Yeah. Well, normally you want to take care of the more faster move, the more frightened enemies first, while the others that move slower can move towards you. So it gives you some time to deal with the more obnoxious ones. Either use a super joy or turn around quickly to knock them off.
Hope everyone's enjoying the marathon, by the way, despite some difficulties, but we're making sure this run's fun.
Yes, that's the important part. Now, this part, it's you can despawn an enemy, but however, this is one of the few instances that despawning an enemy can work against you. If you despawn that Helix, it will instead spawn an extra Johnny or Atlas. So now we have this part, just avoiding the flank molotovs from the Joe.
So what I did right there was jump a little bit forward, so I missed that stop point. Put my character a little bit further.
All right, now for the fourth boss, this British clown Felipe. As Hagar, he can be a little complicated. He's very fast, and he can slide at any time he wants.
Yeah, you have to use the extra joy against him when he recovers, because there's no telling if he's going for the slide or not when he gets up.
Yeah, and
like what he just did right there. Wow. GG on me for that fleet fight.
Yeah, good thing he didn't grab you. He can grab you sometimes and pummel you to death.
Yeah, in expert difficulty, he can literally KO you with that pummel.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen to me wipe out my whole health bar one time, and that was something I do not want to have happen again. That's another reason why we don't play expert. And if you're trying to speedrun like I did, do not do expert like I did.
or I did. And I should mention that Felipe, out of the old bosses, he has no defense at all, and any difficulty whatsoever.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, that was the second bonus level. You have to break those flame drums. Waste the flame skin spawn on a global timer.
Yes, that's what I thought too.
Now,
okay, pre-order level.
Italy. This is the second to last level of the game. We're in Italy.
Of course, anyone who's probably read JoJo's Bizarre Adventures will probably know that the author uses a lot of references to Italy. And of course, Capcom's no stranger to that either.
I mean, yeah. Well, Final Fight 2 being being a more national theme rather than being the setting of Near Metro City. This makes it kind of the oddball of the series, since most games took place in Metro City. But then again, this is riding off of the massive success of Street Fighter 2. And again, Street Fighter.
That's another reason why I like playing this game more.
Well, it's because Final Fight and Street Fighter are pretty much the same in the same universe, canon-wise.
Yep. Of course, we can also now include Strider and rival schools as well.
Exactly.
Shout out to Street Fighter 5.
Oh, yeah.
I got nothing on that game, I might add.
Yeah. And the Alpha series started that trend. But this game started so early too because, yeah, with the Chun-Li cameo at the beginning of Stage 1, and Guile's cameo at the background in the fight with Freddy, which I stupidly forgot to mention it. I'm sorry, chat.
There was also a mention of Ryu on the start of Hong Kong as well.
Wait, Ryu?
Yep.
Well, Ryu was there?
No, not the character, but his name was on a sign.
Okay, then.
You can literally get cameos in through signs and billboards, you know. Alright, here we go.
Yeah, that bolt screen with the acrobats is pretty obnoxious. The good thing was he got lucky there. That's another despawn coming up, and now we have the group of Elix.
Yeah, if we didn't get rid of all those guys, we would have to probably deal like roughly 9 or 10 of them.
Yeah, but
not the Elix, but also the other guys too.
Yeah, Elix are in the string are 9 of them in total. Is that correct?
All right, we got rid of all of them. Thankfully, we didn't lose a lot.
All right. And now we are in an elevator because, of course, this is a beat 'em up. Every beat 'em up game needs an elevator after all.
I'm picking up the health item.
Yeah, and yes, do not pick that 2x4 club. Weapons in this game, they don't do any damage at all. Like, nothing.
Didn't get up in time.
Yeah. But anyway, we're coming up.
I forgot to mention is that Hagar does move forward a bit when he punches. So if you're like right next to an item, he will pick that item up.
Alright, anyway, time for the boss, and it's a returning boss from Final Fight 1, albeit for no being in the SNES port. It's Rolento, or Roland as the game spell it, without the O. And like in the last game, Rolento is pretty fast, and in my humble opinion, he's more than a spear. Because with Hagar,
keep him trapped on the wall.
Yeah. With Hagar, Rolento is a lot harder because he's much slower doing the infinite. And given that the game has a lower hit zone compared to Final Fight 1, Rolento can escape out of the infinite much easily. So the best idea is to keep him in the corner, then sometimes trading shots until we get a good yellow bar help like that. And on the yellow health bar, he's just gonna start spamming grenades for the remaining of the fight.
Down and out for Rolento. Also, shoutouts to Gale Dog. He unintentionally found this strat, so I decided to implement that for Hagar. So he was the one who found this.
All right. Now the final level of the game. We're in Japan. The first screen right there is another despawn right there.
If we can get all 3 of them gone. Okay, 2 out of 3, not bad.
Now we have the return of the landmines as well. Well, for the last time, that is. So we're gonna take those to our advantage. Hopefully the enemies run into them, at least. Haga was a Street Fighter, but he had a Russian accent and called himself Sanji. I know, right? You could say that Haga and Sanji are one and the same because of they have its similar moveset after all.
Alright,
They
that's
do
have
have
all the enemies.
Alright. So now the second screen, the second area.
Alright, we got the Atlas despawn. Now that's random, you can't really decide when that happens. That's the best case scenario because Atlas is the next enemy to come out in that order. After those 2 Atlas and Eliases.
Yeah, Ely can, and another Ely can spawn sometimes. So yeah, now we're gonna see Andorra, plenty of Andorras in this level from Hero. Well, we've been seeing him a lot, just like in the last game.
Well, the Andorras are probably the enforcers.
Yeah. And then again that I had to mention again, but on Expert they are damage sponges. They're like pretty much like mini bosses.
Yeah, experts, they're ridiculous. They got like almost 4 to 5 health bars.
And their defense and plus defense increase as well. I should add that.
Yeah, luckily I know how to damage these guys well enough to break a Atlas or a Johnny in half.
Yeah. And we have 2 hitting items there. Barbecue, a clock, and a 1-up, which is actually a doll version of Guy. A Guy doll, I should say.
I hate when I botch the infinite there. Especially when you're fighting the regular ones.
Oh yeah, this is one thing, something strange about this game is that if you got all 3 enemies at the same time, your hit stop increases. The hit stop of your punch does increase when you hit all 3 enemies at the same time, which makes you turn around a little slower. So
83 seconds, that's my normal finish. It's rare to get done very quickly. It's usually a good idea to get rid of the Andorra real quick.
Alright. So now, speaking of Andorras, we
corner these guys and get rid of them quickly because we do have Andorras coming up.
Yeah, 2 Andorras at the same time.
That's why you want to get rid of all the other enemies before you deal with them. And this
And
won't
good
be
thing
the first time dealing with 2 of them at once.
Yeah. But one thing I should say, that good thing this is not Uptown. You know, that part where they have 3 Andorras. Good thing this level is nowhere near as chaotic as Uptown. Gee, if you're playing that game, the original, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, but now we have another group of Leo and Roberts. 6 of them in total. So we gotta be careful with their jumping tactics.
Alright, I'll take that death. I gotta have full health for the blocker's hallway coming up.
Yeah. Now we have
this. That great ball in Dory.
But that's alright. Now we enter the dojo. Now what Rotor mentioned, now we are going to what is called the blocker's hallway, because we have to do an army of Johnny and Atlas, which is arguably the most thing.
Yeah,
there's the example of the magic grab. Like, they just grab you at a ridiculously large range.
Ooh, I got all 3 of them at once? Nice. That never happens.
But we're not done yet, there's more to come.
Yeah, these are the last 3.
Yeah, this screen is very dangerous. You can wait. These guys can waste your time.
Ooh, 94 seconds left on that part. Nice. That's arguably my fastest with Agar here.
Yeah.
Alright, that takes care of the 3 guys.
Now we have more Elix. Of course, be careful. Yeah, you see that Ely can't just charge immediately when he spawns. Maybe the rank in this game may affect the certain enemy behaviors. Just I don't know yet. But I have a certainty of that.
Yeah, I just keep going when I come to this point. Because that Robert does have the ability to hit you from behind with that leap.
Yeah, and like the other one just did now. Yeah, you can despawn the Atlas, but it's pretty hard with Hagar anyway. Because Maki and Carlos Strohs are way much easier to despawn the enemies. Because they spend the air much time, a lot longer time on air.
Wow, pretty fast to 6-3. Now we're going into 6-4.
All right,
we're facing most of the enemies here.
Right, the final stretch of the game. Hey, now this part once again we have to meet with the Joes, just throwing flame molotovs and avoiding them.
Yeah, we'll be on the bottom part for right here.
And now there might be a rare E spawn here.
Cause up that.
Oh,
thank goodness I got rid of that Elic.
Oh yeah, sometimes an E can spawn in that part.
Yeah, I was meant to jump backwards. Sometimes I get the inputs eaten.
Oh yes, we have to keep that barrel intact because that will prevent another extra enemy to spawn. We don't want that Johnny to spawn at all.
Yeah, we want an Elic to spawn, believe it or not. And
yeah,
there he is.
That. Took another intentional death. But yeah, deaths in this game are pretty common. Because it's depending on the enemy behavior. Well,
Alright, that was quick.
In most beat 'em up games, you gotta be very careful of the enemy, what path the enemies can do to you. Now the final part. Now we have to deal with.
Here's what I call the vortex trap here. If I can get these guys to come in. So basically, you can't vortex enemies in this game, but you can do that if you're near a wall.
And thus now we have the last stretch, the last one Doris and the last two Atlas.
Alright, that was pretty fast.
That's it. Now for the final boss fight, Red 2. And Red 2, it's with Haggard, you gotta have to suplex him all the time before he goes. Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to get near him because
in other words, we're gonna put Red 2 through Suplex City, courtesy of the mayor Mike Hagar. And did it way before Brock Lesnar made that popular.
Yeah. And even though Carlos and Maki have an easier time with him because they can infinite him with ease.
Actually, the fight's better if you can keep him on the bottom or topmost plane because that way you can keep him from going to the edges quickly.
Yeah.
If he goes to the edges, he'll do those big leaps, which is a big time waster.
Yeah, and he can do a Tatsumaki, which I should have pointed out. Well, he almost got yellow health. And get ready on time, by the way. Once you deal the final blow, it's time. And pretty much like Belger in the original game, he goes on the corner. And there you go. And just like Belger, you just send Red 2 flying off the dojo.
Whew!
So, good job there, brother.
Thank you, Noble Boy. Shoutouts to Noble Boy for the commentary. Thank you for the GG's, MTI, Rio, David, Tiki.
Hey.
My apologies if I say the names wrong. Uniformed, Pelb, and probably more will be coming in. Oh, yeah.
So, what is the final time, chat? Since I cannot see on his part.
Yeah, my timer didn't work. Unless someone were to subtract the time that I officially said go and everything. Ooh, 32-13. Thank you.
About 32.
Thank you,
Well,
Kappa.
that's a pretty good time.
Yeah, that's usually my best. My better one, my PB currently is around near that time or 31. Of course, Noble Boy brought it down to 29. But then again, I'm not going to challenge that world record anytime soon. Besides, my time in the sun's over. It's time for others to take that time.
Never say never.
Oh, thank you, Glitch.
So, any final thoughts, Rotor, before we go?
Well, if this run isn't enough to convince you to get into speedrunning Final Fight 2, I think there's more stuff that needs to be found, or faster ways. I mean, I've done this pretty much since 2014, pretty much, so I've been speedrunning this game for a long time, but I have been moving on to other games. But anyway, I recommend checking all these characters out. I mean, even Maki can have a fast time with her powerful special and all-out damage with her chain attack and everything. I mean, she would have, like, huge damage in expert mode, even over the others. But anyway, just strongly consider learning how to play the game, because I think there's more people that can do this way better than I could. I mean, Noble Boy's proof of that, and I've seen others do it as well. But anyway, I want to give a quick shout out to MTI. I hope he finds out what that rank system is for. He found out a lot of info on damage attack formula, enemy health, and among other things. So shout outs to him. Also shout outs to Murphy. He also found this out before MTI. So shout outs to him. Shout outs to Noble Boy for commentary. And that's probably going to be it for me. I'll be back a little bit later for PAL Prisoners of War. So I'll send it off to our hosts in RGLtv. And again, thank you all for coming over. I'll see you a little bit later for PAL Prisoners of War. This is Rotorstorm331 signing off. I'll see you all later. Take care.
Later, guys.